Top of the evening to you, everybody, on this Thursday night, 12/12/24. I told you this morning on the Bible study, this was a big day today, 12/12/24. 12 is government. And we've got a bombshell tonight to report on regarding the J6 situation that we're going to share with you tonight. We were hoping to have somebody with us. We've sent some SOSs out. It's a good thing I'm not drowning tonight, because I haven't got any response. Everybody must be tied up on other shows tonight, because we sure tried to get some folks to come on and talk about all this, but it's just going to be me tonight running my mouth. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but you got me, for better or for worse, till death do you part. And we're grateful that you're here tonight. We got a lot to talk about. And grateful to see everybody. The ex-audience, my goodness, we've already got a huge listener base in X tonight. We're grateful for you guys. YouTube's pulling in here tonight. Facebook, good to see everybody. You Rumble folks, we hadn't forgot about you. Good to see you tonight. I want to get right to it tonight. The big story that's breaking is the J6 story about what happened 4 years ago. Something that Republicans got excoriated over, being called insurrectionists. The Dems used it to wage lawfare against not only President Trump, but against his followers. The FBI plain lied. Christopher Wray needs to be in jail tonight. He just needs to flat be in jail. It's ironic, he resigned yesterday, 24 hours before this report came out tonight. And by no accident, nothing happens in D.C. that's a mistake. But he plainly lied to the Congress back in 22. Clay Higgins basically asked him point blank, were there any undercover FBI agents posing as mega people in that crowd on J6? And he said, absolutely not. So, okay. You know, and the media took that, and tonight the media is spinning this report because the report contradicts everything that Christopher Wray has been spewing lies to the Congress for 3 years now, and Merrick Garland and others. And you've got people out there like Nancy Pelosi, Eric Stilwell, Maxine Waters, Mitch McConnell, who have used this J6 situation to trash Trump. He got indicted for it, folks, not just impeached, but this was the whole Jack Smith case that he claimed that President Trump was an insurrectionist, Fannie Willis, election interference, things like that. But the Jack Smith case that just got dismissed, and he threw the towel in because he knew it was a floundering case, was accusing Trump of leading an insurrection. Liz Cheney should be in jail tonight. The other jackanapes down in Florida, the black guy that basically when Trump got shot, Hastings, I think is his name. Yeah, Hastings. He's a Hastings, all right. I got another name for him. But this is a family show, and we try to be somewhat dignified and decorum. We got accused this week of not being professional, but that's okay.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. We're always professional around here. We may not just be your kind of professional, but we're professional around here. We just have a good time. We just had a good time. I don't know if she's in the audience tonight. I was talking to a young lady today, cut my hair today, and she's younger, and her family are down south, and she was curious about why an old guy like me would be doing a podcast, and I explained to her what we did. She said, well, that sounds interesting. She's young, you know, Magdalene Rose's age, and she promised me that she would listen in tonight. And but we got to talk about things like this. And this generation, Magdalene was going to be with me tonight, but she had a prior engagement. So we're going to get a lot of folks on this coming week. Every time I turn around, I tell James Akers, I said, I'll get you back on next week unless the world ends. This was a bombshell tonight. And folks, it's debunked every lie, every single lie that the left has perpetrated on this country for 4 years. And it really starts tearing into the narrative of the Russia hoax, the same players that push that narrative, push this narrative. People are in jail tonight. Trump told Time Magazine tonight, by the way, congratulations to President Trump. He is the Time Man of the Year, and I think it's a well-deserved honor. He was the first president since Ronald Reagan to open the New York Stock Exchange today. Reagan did that in 1985, almost 40 years to the day that Reagan did it back then. Trump did it today. And 12-12-2-4, what a day. And but I want to play a clip. Jesse Waters was on tonight, and I think that he explained this as good as anybody can. Now, your screen's going to go dark just for a second. And I'm going to play this video. How he explains it. And Buck Sexton, actually I met Buck up in Washington back at one of the CPAC events. I think it was 2020. It was right before the debacle we had in November of that year that led to the J6 situation. And Buck's become famous now. We tried to get him on when he wasn't as famous as he is right now. We just never could work it out. But we would love to have him. He's a former CIA analyst, and he gave a great discourse about this tonight. I'm going to let you listen to his words here. I'm going to go to a black screen. Give me 1 second. I want to load this up. And then we're going to talk about this with you tonight. Now, folks, listen, watch the video, listen to what he's got to say. We'll take your questions at the end tonight because we're going to talk about some other things too. But here's Jesse Waters and Buck Sexton on this bombshell report.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own inspector general says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or...
Now, this was July of 23. He's already lying. He's already lied before. I'll show you the clip here in a minute. But he actually stuck his foot on certain body parts by running his mouth because he just contradicted himself, and the senator here was picking up on it. And watch this closely, folks. Watch the wording of Ray. He's lied to Congress.
Human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The inspector was hiding something, so Congress asked the question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the door?
Watch the answer to this question, folks. Huge question. Huge answer coming. It's what you expect from the bumbling idiots, FBI.
Being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's time.
Ray's right. The FBI didn't have undercover agents at January 6th. They had confidential human sources. So what's the difference? Well, a confidential human source doesn't get health insurance or a pension. They're just freelancing for the feds. Rats in MAGA hats. They're basically paid informants that the FBI runs out of headquarters. A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now. And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life. So these guys say, yes, sir. And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside. And these confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver. What does deliver mean? It means intelligence and big busts that get the FBI good headlines. According to the Inspector General report, the spies were feeding the FBI intel that said January 6th was going to get a little hairy. But FBI headquarters did nothing about it and then lied to Congress and said they did. So why did headquarters let January 6th get so out of hand? And what were all these FBI spies doing that day and the days before? Were they riling everyone up like they did in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? In that case, the FBI informants instigated the plot. They even used an FBI credit card to buy the ammo, supplies, and hotel rooms. Did the FBI pay for Jan 6 hotel rooms? We don't know. Remember, the media and the Democrats said this whole thing was a conspiracy.
Where do you think this idea comes from, that this was somehow done by the feds?
I heard that one of the debaters said it was an inside job. It's an inside job on the part of Donald Trump.
And with those words, I'm going to play it. We got about 4 minutes to go on this. With those words, even as late as December of 23, folks, the lie was being perpetrated, and they already knew this stuff. The Democrats knew what was in this report. The Democrats, what this report said, they knew was true, but they kept perpetrating the lie. And enough people believed it, and it put this country and Donald Trump's family through living hell. These people need to pay. Roll the tape.
And his henchmen.
Republicans have blamed the FBI and said it was an inside job.
It certainly was not an inside job by FBI agents or Antifa. They go around blaming it on Antifa and FBI agents.
Well, how did the media know it wasn't an inside job when the FBI had 26 of their people on the inside? January 6th certainly benefited the media, the FBI and the Democrats. 1,500 arrests, humiliated Trump, got him impeached, criminalized the MAGA movement. Trump got indicted over January 6th, remember? They tried to throw him in prison over this. The January 6th committee, it's all Democrats did for 2 years. Why didn't the committee find any of these snitches? They did a one-sided investigation and teed up Garland to charge Trump so they could run against a convicted felon. So the media is going to apologize, right? No. The media today is cherry-picking the report to say there were no undercover agents there on January 6th. The whole thing's a conspiracy. These aren't articles. They're FBI press releases. And they wonder why their ratings are trash and no one trusts them. It's because of this. They don't want the truth. They want to hide it if it hurts the left. And they can't admit they were wrong because it's too embarrassing. And they were a part of the cover-up. But the FBI is worse than the media. The FBI knew what was in this report. They covered it up before the election. And then the director says he's resigning the day before it comes out. Give me a break. This kind of sliminess is why Trump nominated Kash Patel. I wonder what else Kash is going to find in the Bureau when he looks under the hood.
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th. Once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation.
And what does this report do to the January 6th defendants? None of the confidential informants were arrested or charged. These guys were right alongside everyone, walking into the Capitol. But you're in prison for years? Now, if you're a defense attorney for a Jan 6er and this drops after the case was decided, that could change everything. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley says this, quote, "There is a question of why the confidential human sources who entered the Capitol were not charged as part of an operation that the Justice Department described as an effort to shock and awe, targeting everyone involved that day. This report does not find specific wrongdoing or direction from confidential human sources in the rioting. Congress, however, is likely to seek more information on these sources and their conduct on the day." Are you allowed to commit crimes as a spy for the FBI and not get charged?
No.
Because they said this was the greatest attack on democracy ever. Said it was up there with 9/11. Traitors, they said, seditionists. They're off scot-free. You can try to overthrow the government if you're an FBI rat and just walk away. Congress has to find out. And what does this mean for pardons? I mean, the Hunter Biden pardon already greased the runway for Trump, but this report's all the ammo Trump needs. He told Time magazine, it's going to start in the first hour, maybe the first 9 minutes. Now, if I were president, I don't think I'd pardon J6ers who were slugging cops, but if you were wandering around peacefully, come on. And it's not just Kash Patel that's going to clean house. Tulsi's on deck.
I'm here with Tulsi Gabbard. She's here on the Hill meeting with my colleagues. She's going to be a great DNI, Director of National Intelligence. It's a really important job. It oversees all of our intelligence agencies, and it's in need of reform. I think everybody would admit that, and so we need to bring in a reformer.
Now, the deep state's never been this backed into a corner, ever. We have Trump assassination files that we want to release, JFK assassination files, COVID files, Epstein, Diddy. What about that pipe bomb? Is the FBI still working on that one? Who planted that? It's just another conspiracy theory that you were right about. The lab leak, the laptop, and now Jan 6. No wonder Biden's under pressure to dish out more pardons. Who knows how high this thing goes?
It goes high, Jesse. It goes high. I want to go back to this article here. This is out of Gateway Pundit tonight. And Inspector General David Horowitz released this report today. Here is the full report released by Biden's DOJ on the confidential human sources who were working the crowd January the 6th at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. And the Gateway Pundit, we've got this actually story posted. Here is the report. I'm not going to read the whole report tonight, of course. But it has been widely reported that the violence would not have taken place or reached the fever pitch that it did if Nancy Pelosi had brought in the National Guard, as President Trump requested days before the planned protest. In the IG report released today, the DOJ admits to 26, as you heard, confidential human sources, page 77, working that day inside the Trump protest at the U.S. Capitol. The IG report ignored how manned undercover employees were also at the U.S. Capitol that day. According to the report, the DOJ admitted that 4 entered the U.S. Capitol and 13 entered the restricted area. That is very likely inaccurate. Julie Kelly, she wrote this, and you see the highlighted thing. She says, we've determined that of the 26 CHSs who were in D.C. on January the 6th in connection with the events of January 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot, and an additional 13 entered the restricted area. And the reason this is important, the Gateway Pundit has reported on numerous confirmed intelligence operations and cutouts who had infiltrated the Trump crowd on January the 6th of 21. When the DOJ admits to 26 undercover operatives working inside the crowd that day, they are not including the many dozens or hundreds of cutouts who were operating inside the enormous crowd, meaning that there is more than just the 13 that this report's claiming. It's safe to say that J6 was the largest organized government setup targeting a specific political party in U.S. history. And you can see some of the pictures here from the Gateway Pundit. The House Administration Committee released footage in March from camera 7231 on January the 6th. The video shows a man described as an active FBI colleague of a former FBI liaison to Capitol Police Officer John Guindolo. The FBI agent is seen clapping his hands and saying, "This is huge," as protesters ran up the east steps of the U.S. Capitol. And you can see it right here. Now, I'm going to play this video. Watch this. There's no sound to that for some reason. But he's saying this is huge. I have filed Free State. There it is right there. You hear him there. This is huge. You hear him there. This is huge. Pretty damning stuff. And then there's a motion. As reported earlier, the FBI lost track of how many operatives and paid informants they had in the Trump crowd on January the 6th. There have been at least 20 confirmed and documented incidents involving dozens of feds, FBI agents, and state operatives leading the charge and embedded in the crowd on January the 6th. Dozens, if not hundreds, of government operatives infiltrated the protests, as we've all been saying, folks, for 4 years now, at the U.S. Capitol. Ashley Babbitt lost her life because of this. Below is an ever-expanding list of the government operatives the Gateway Pundit and others identified working inside the massive Trump crowd on January the 6th. It continues to add to this list, and they've got this. Here is some of the things. And this article, folks, all of these, we're not going to go through the list tonight, but this is on our website at the Telegram room, the McFiles War Room, and this is a tweet. This is a tweet from the Gateway Pundit today. They all lied, and we have proof. Highly sensitive DOJ January 6 documents leaked to the Gateway Pundit. FBI confidential human source infiltrated the Proud Boys, ran the FBI, etc., etc. You can look at all this. All of this is to your study and so forth. I don't want to get into all of the names and so forth. Now, I actually got to talk to Enrique Del Toro, who was part of the Proud Boys back in 21. I had just gotten back from the border the third time, and that year was the year I was at J6. I was in J6 not at the Capitol, but I was there that day and stood in the cold that morning. I think Jason Miller was up there too with me. In fact, Jason, that was the time I ran into Jason. He came up, drove up from Tennessee, and I drove up too. And the crowd was so big that day. I mean, you literally was arm to arm in people. You just couldn't move hardly in that crowd when Trump was speaking. He emphatically told that crowd that morning, if you're going to go protest peaceably. He never, ever called for an insurrection. That was always a bone of contention. It's clear that he told Nancy Pelosi, you need to get the National Guard over there just in case this thing, goes astray. There were some people that got out of hand. There were people that busted glass. There were people that went into the Capitol. They shouldn't have done it. It was a setup. They should have known better. And now, and I'm going to just say this, folks, and some of you may not agree with this. Look, the FBI setting the people up to do what they did does not give people the right to break the law. And I think Jesse made the comment about people slugging cops and things like that. Look, I think for there to be peace on this country and peace on this situation, there needs to be pardons across the board about this right now, because it's all in a turmoil mess. And what these prisoners have been treated like, Bannon, Navarro, all these people that refused to give testimony about J6, and they were treated. Navarro was literally put in stocks, from what I understand tonight. And they were all treated as badly. These J6 prisoners, Enrique Del Toro has been treated worse than he's been treated worse than you would get treated in China or South or North Korea or any of these Muslim countries that basically caught you and put you in one of their jails. We've treated these political prisoners of the MAGA movement worse than third world countries. Somebody's backside needs to pay. Somebody's backside needs to pay for this tonight. And I pray President Trump and Kash Patel, if you're listening to me, my friend, I pray that you do exactly what Jesse Waters says, that you clean this mess up and that you go after those that have been responsible for this. Because if we don't get this fixed, and I know that the common wisdom and the conventional wisdom is that we just need to have a kumbaya and unify the country. Well, let's unify the country, but let's put the people that did this wrongly and broke the law in this J6, and it starts at the top. Look, folks, it's not lost on people with a brain why Christopher Wray resigned yesterday. He was very aware of this report. Andrew McCabe, of all people, yes, that Andrew McCabe that perpetrated this false Russia hoax, Stork, Lisa Page, James Comey, none of these have seen criminal charges, Eric Holder, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of them. And irony of ironies tonight, if you can believe this one, which I think we're all at the point that anything out there is possible these days, and nothing that happens should surprise us anymore. But I got to show you this. We'll talk about this with you too tonight a little bit when we get to your questions. Not right now. But Bill Clinton is pushing, let me get my glasses because I can't see without them. Excuse me just a second. But Bill Clinton is actually pushing for his wife to be pardoned. And if you'll give me 1 second, I'm trying to find that. I just had it. But anyway, I will find it, and we will read that to you. It was off of a Twitter handle. But unbelievable stuff that he would be pushing the Biden administration to pardon his wife. I don't know if you heard this or not. Joe Biden pardoned 1,500 felons today. 1,500. That's the most pardons that have ever been produced in one day by any sitting president. Any sitting president. None of them have pardoned that many in one day. And I got a feeling that ain't the end of it. There is no telling who he's going to pardon. And don't be surprised if there's not a pardon given to Hillary for crimes that supposedly she committed. But the only problem with that is that once you admit they've committed crimes, then you turn the political screws loose, and it's open season for civil suits and things of that nature at the ripple effect. So it's a fine line that he's walking. But Bill Clinton's got a lot of guts. Not in a good way. But he's got a lot of gall, and I'm sure Leslie Millway would agree that if he's going to ask a pardon for Hillary, you got to have some kahunas to do that after all she's done and he's done. He might be needing to ask a pardon for himself, but I'll get to that. We'll get to that more in a minute. But that's what's going on tonight with the J6. Now, I'm going to take your questions. We got a poll up, and it looks like so far, most of you, we've already had 47 of you, and 100% of you, 100% of you, we never get 100% on anything. If I said, do you believe the sky is blue, we wouldn't get 100%. We got 100% of you tonight that believes that the people that perpetrated this J6 hoax and lied, including Christopher Wray tonight, including everybody that went before Congress and told these lies. And folks, we're going to be following this story. If we come on tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about this tomorrow night. It's going to be a big story next week, because this ain't going to stop with tonight's coverage. Because I think Kash Patel is why the reason they're scared of him is he said this 2 years ago, that he knows where the bodies are when it comes to J6, and he's going to go after these people. If I was Liz Cheney tonight, I'd be lawyering up. If I was Hastings down in Florida, I'd be lawyering up. If I was Christopher Wray tonight and Merrick Garland, I'd be lawyering up. If I was these informants, these rats from MAGA, as Jesse called them, and I think it's a great thing, rats and MAGA hats, I'd be lawyering up. It wouldn't do for me to be in charge. It just wouldn't, because y'all would disown me, because all hell would come down on this deep state. All hell would come down. And I think that this is why we are so frustrated. This is why we have lost all trust in any true media. And I say the true media, I'm talking about the mainstream media, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS. They're all out there watering down this report tonight. I can guarantee you the View tomorrow will make no big deal about this. You won't hear about this. And if they say anything, it'll be that, well, this exonerates the FBI. It does not exonerate the FBI, folks. Everything that Christopher Wray has been lying about for 3 years, 4 years now, has been blown to bits. And to be honest with you, we already knew it. We've been saying it. We've had guests on this show that said it for the last 3 years. I couldn't even mention J6 for the first year after it happened, because if we mentioned J6, our channel would be yanked. They censored everything out there about J6. They censored everything about Fauci. They censored everything about the virus. They censored everything about COVID. If you brought a doctor on, I had a dear friend of mine. He's still a dear friend, his family friend. He was an emergency room nurse working the emergency rooms the night that all the weeks and the days following the COVID outbreak. I wanted just to bring him on to talk about what he was seeing. We had him on for 15 minutes. They yanked my channel in the middle of the show. You couldn't talk about Fauci. If I was Anthony Fauci tonight, I'd be lawyering up. I'm going to tell you, folks, and again, I know that, I respect, we had James on Tuesday night, James Akers, and You know, he wanted to believe that we needed to be more, in the middle of the road about this. And I understand that, we need unity. We do. We need a healing in this nation. But I do not believe that you can have healing until you correct these wrongs that have been done and weaponized the justice department. They have weaponized these viruses. They've weaponized the IRS. They've weaponized the Justice Department. They've weaponized the White House. They've weaponized every institution we have. They've weaponized the banks. There are so many people out there that had their money basically taken and removed from their bank accounts, just literally gone because of their stance on J6. They've weaponized the financial markets. They've weaponized the media. They've weaponized every institution. And they've called us mega people that basically were up there just to express our opinion that the election of 2020 was stolen. And I guarantee you tonight, as I say these words, folks, when it all comes to clear and the smoke starts clearing on 2020, we're going to find out that we were right about 2022. We're going to find out that we were right about the midterms in 22. We're going to find out that this California steal that just took place here just a few weeks ago. We got Laura Mills coming on Monday night late. We got a double feature Monday. Ricky would be on me early, or it'd be on me later because she was sick this week. But she has been right there in the middle of this California steal. In California, she's seen exactly how they did it. And folks, they did it again. Until there is justice for all, and until there is accountability for these actions and for the wrongs that have been done and the damage that's been done, and not just the damage to the individuals, folks, but the damage to the country. We have never, again, as the Gateway Pundit article pointed out, you've never had a government in place like you did with the Biden administration go after a political party and an agency single out their followers and basically put them in jail for just expressing their First Amendment rights. Because when you get down to it, and I'm not talking about the knuckleheads that didn't have a brain and started busting glass like a bunch of orangutans and they should have known better. You're not fifth graders. You should have known better. You don't go into I don't care how mad you are and how upset you are, you don't throw rocks in the Capitol. You don't go sit in Nancy Pelosi's seat and take selfies. It cost Ashley Babbitt her life, all the chaos that this produced. An innocent lady got shot. A veteran got shot. And I don't care who's responsible for it. If the police officer, and I know we want to throw that on him, okay. But the whole chaotic mess was a setup. And folks, I hope we learned our lesson on the right. They are salivating. They are salivating to do stuff like this. They salivated on J6 and they got their wish. And the only hope tonight is that this report is a start. It's not going to solve it. Because if this report gets put in file 13 and it's just shoved into a folder and everybody says, okay, Horowitz claims he basically confirms everything we knew and nothing is done about it, it's not worth the paper it's written on. And my admonition to Kash Patel tonight, the incoming FBI director, which I believe he's going to get confirmed and confirmed big, clean this mess up. Clean out the FBI. Go find these people that did this and put their asses in jail. And do not give them do not give them $200 to pass go. Do not give them a get out of jail free card. Let the chains of justice fall on their head just like they used the justice system to fall on the head of people expressing their First Amendment rights in January of 2021. Because, folks, I was there. I didn't go to the Capitol that day. I actually had went to a hotel room to see Derek Vance, and James R. called us, and he said, whatever you do, stay away from the Capitol. And we sat there, and I watched the television and watched all this unfold that afternoon. It was freezing cold that morning. Goodness gracious, it was cold. The wind chill, it was cloudy. It was misty. The air temperature in D.C. was like 20. There was a wind blowing. The wind chill factor was like 6. And, I mean, I was literally shaking. You could see people shaking. And it was a dark day over this country. But it was made darker by the lawfare that the Dems used against people that were just there to express their opinion that the election of 2020 was stolen. I don't condone the violence that took place. I don't even condone the lawlessness on our side that took place. We should have known better. People should have known better. I've heard people blame Trump, say, well, it's Trump's fault. They told us to go down there. Trump never told anybody to go down there and bust glass out. He told you to go down there and protest peaceably. And if you don't know how to protest peaceably without throwing rocks into the Capitol, then something is wrong with your head. And I'm not condemning any J6. It hurts. It bothers me how they've been treated, folks. But again, we've got to be smarter on our side in the future when they do stuff like this. And folks, if this bunch gets ever back in power, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. It's got to be fixed. And the FBI head, Kash Patel, has the power now to fix it if he'll do it. And I'm going to say it tonight. If nothing's done about this, I think that is going to be the biggest, greatest insult to justice that we've ever had, because I think this was the greatest sting and trying to set up a political party we had ever had in the history of the universe. You know, I was a young boy. I was a 9-year-old kid when Watergate hit this country. And I remember my dad. I sit up and watched Richard Nixon resign as a 9-year-old. Daddy was in his study that night. My bedroom served. We were poor back in those days. My daddy's study served as my bedroom, and my bedroom served as Daddy's study. And me and him, we were up late that night, and Daddy had the nightlight on, and he was working, and the TV. And he called my mom in. He said, Margie, come in. Here, look at this. And Nixon was resigning over the embarrassment of Watergate. And from that day on, this country has lost its faith in the institutions of government, folks. And, you know, I've got my own opinions about Watergate that some of you may not hold. I don't believe Nixon was doing anything more than protecting his people, and I've always respected him for that. He took the fall. I know a lot of those men went to jail. But the ripple effect, let me tell you this, who was at the heart of the Watergate investigation was Hillary Clinton. A lot of the same people that are here basically perverting justice tonight was at the heart of that investigation against Nixon, and that was where it started. And that's where all this lawfare really began. And for 40, almost 50 years now, this has been the cycle. When a political party gets in power that we don't like, we weaponize the legal system against it. And it's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's un-American. And Kash Patel, if you're listening to me tonight, if you're listening to me, my friend, fix this mess. Do not let this happen again. Clean the perpetrators out and bring the living forces of hell down on the heads of these that did this to these J6ers. And President Trump has promised, you heard the comment today, 9 minutes into his presidency, he's going to be pardoning the J6ers. Now, that's not all I got tonight, because I got some other things I want to deal with real quick, if you'll let me do this, and I'll take your questions in just a second. Anyway, and I'm not done, so just bear with me just for a second. Just for a second. By the way, did you hear about this? I'm sure you did. This is another infuriating story tonight. Did you hear about the Biden administration tonight, folks? You say, what is this? Well, this is parts of the wall that Donald Trump built. Guess what they're doing tonight? They've set up an auction site, and they're selling the parts from Arizona. You can see the state there for $5. You can buy the parts that they demolished the wall from for $5. Dan Patrick was on Laura Ingraham tonight, and he is he's going on there and buying every part that they've got listed on this website. Texas is tonight. But the very fact that Joe Biden's doing this, folks, should tell you that he is trying to run this country into the ground before January the 20th. They are doing everything they can. There's an excellent article we just posted on the Telegram page, and it's out of the Gateway Pundit. And it says, Wayne Root wrote it. He said, would Democrats and deep state rather destroy America, burn it all to the ground, see millions of Americans destroyed in a nuclear war, than to let Trump rule and serve in office? You doggone right they would. doing stuff like this tonight, pardoning 1,500 felons. There's been rumblings that he's about to do an executive order about these illegal aliens, granting them amnesty before he leaves. Of course, Trump can overturn that, but it just makes it harder. Everything that he does between now and January the 20th, he's doing to make it as hard as possible for Trump to implement his agenda. That's evil, folks. And I hear this all the time. Well, Joe Biden's just stupid. Joe Biden's just crazy. Joe Biden's just senile. Joe Biden's this. Folks, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And if he's that senile to do this kind of stuff, somebody needs to impeach him tonight. And I don't know if Yolanda's out there, but I'm going to tell you something. The Republicans, this late of game, they did this to Trump. Trump was going out the door when they impeached him over Ukraine. And I would be impeaching Joe Biden tonight for crap like this. This to me is a malfeasance of office. But these spineless Republicans don't want to do it because they're scared of the political fallout. It's time to grow a pair of men. It's time to grow a pair. I don't care about the political freaking fallout. You got political fallout from doing crap like this, and it's destroying our country. That you got a government auctioning off the border wall that's keeping illegals in and out of this country. And they're trying to destroy the nation. And if you don't do something about it, we may not even have a nation come January the 20th. Because I'm going to tell you, folks, he's stoking the fires tonight in a way. And, you know, the Wayne Root article is excellent. And he says, look, he said, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they don't try a nuclear exchange before this is over with. And we still got, as of tonight, we got roughly 40 days. 40 days till Trump takes office, folks. That's a lifetime. That's a lifetime. That's a lifetime. This is impeachable stuff to me. Pardoning 1,500 felons is impeachable. But the Republicans have no balls tonight.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. It is elementary, my dear Watson. Anyway, here's President Trump today. Here is President Trump today at the New York Stock Exchange.
Moment at the New York Stock Exchange as we get this opening bell rung by the President-elect, Donald Trump.
Way to go, President Trump. Big day. First time since 1985 that a president had rang that bell. The last one that did it was the great Ronald Reagan. And this is Time's Man of the Year. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up for that. Here is that story. I did find it. I just didn't see it with the screen because I can't see nothing tonight without my glasses. Bill Clinton. This is the story right here. It's being reported that Bill Clinton is working on a pardon for his wife, Hillary, after Daily Mail claims that Bill might talk to Biden about preemptive pardon for Hillary so President-elect Trump can't send her to jail. This... You remember that famous line that night? We play it sometimes when we come on, and YouTube whacks us when we do it. When she made the great infamous comment, she says, I sure am concerned what the country would be like if Donald Trump is in control of the laws in this country. And he looked at her. He just said, because you'd be in jail. Well, Trump gave her a 4-year reprieve, and he should have put her in jail. He should have, just to be frank with you. But he tried to be Mr. Nice Guy. Well, I tell you what, he ain't got nothing to lose this go around. He needs to put her in jail. And he needs to put her husband in jail. I think Leslie Milley would say amen to that. Juanita Broderick would say amen to that. Maxine Willie would say amen to that. Catherine Willie should say amen to that. Perhaps Paula Jones. Others that he's done. But it's not just that, folks. It's not just that. It's not just the sexual stuff with Bill Clinton. There was so much money that was passed through that Clinton Foundation with him and her. billions, trillions of dollars, billions of dollars at least, that went through that foundation that wound up in Haiti's corrupt government, claiming they were raising money for Haiti and they were using that money for all sorts of illegal stuff. Never a criminal charge filed against them for that. The Whitewater stuff, that was under Bill Clinton's watch in Arkansas. Never a criminal charge filed. Kenneth, I can't think of the guy's name. Kenneth Walsh. Ken Starr, back in the 80s and 90s, I was working at the newspaper desk, tried to do that, and he was, excoriated by the media as being the great evil Satan for going after the wonderful Bill Clinton. But he's out there tonight trying to get a pardon for his wife because he's afraid she's going to go to jail. I'd be afraid too, Bill. This comes after Clinton went on The View, of all places, to claim he wasn't looking for a pardon. Things changed fast, didn't they? That's always amazing how they go on public, like Joe Biden. I'm not going to pardon Hunter. I'm never going to pardon Hunter. The next day, he pardons Hunter. Bill, yesterday on The View, I'm looking for a pardon for Hillary. And today, please, 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 Joe, pardon Hillary. Pardon Hillary. See, I wasn't making that up. Here's an interesting video, folks. I got something to say about this briefly, and then we're going to take your questions. This is Iraqi women 20 years ago compared to Iraqi women today. Roll the tape. That is the results of Sharia law. That is the results of Muslim takeovers of nations. It showed you Syria, showed you Iran, showed you Iraq, showed you Algeria, showed you Egypt. Back in the 50s, the 70s, 60s, 70s, 50s, compared to today. Let me tell you this about the Syrian situation. I'm not here to talk about that tonight because we got other fish to fry. They're going to turn Syria into Afghanistan 2.0. And it's going to be a caliphate, and it's going to be a hellhole of Sharia law again. And that is going to be the reality for millions that are in that nation tonight. And it's very sad to believe that's going to happen. By the way, I didn't know if you, let's see here. This is, I think this is about the border wall thing. Roll the tape. Yes. They're hauling it away from the Arizona border. That's the border wall parts that they're hauling away in trucks. $5. $5. You want a piece of the wall? You can bid for $5 and get a piece. Half a mile worth of wall is being transported off of Arizona a day. It's a lot. That's a lot of wall, folks. That's a lot of wall. And that's that. But we thought we'd show you, just so you didn't think I was making that up. It's being shipped away. Here's an interesting video about these Muslim countries. In Germany, or a image, this is from Dr. Eli, or this is Dr. Melmont, his good Twitter handle. We just started following him the other day. He's got a lot of interesting stuff coming from the Middle East. But he says in Germany, the Islamists are going to Christian markets and they're reciting the same prayer that Muhammad's army recited when they invaded Mecca and drove out the pre-Islamic population, Christians and Jews. It's crystal clear what they're wanting, folks. And I'm going to tell you this tonight, that is coming to the shores of the United States of America if it's not checked over there. If it's not checked over there.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. A couple of other quick things here tonight, and we're going to take your questions, I promise. We got a lot more video coming tomorrow night. This is Ederon. I think this is Dr. Eli David's Twitter handle. Yeah, this is Dr. Eli David, a great follower on X. He says, you can't make this up. Turkey has invaded large parts of northern Syria. And then Ederon yesterday condemned Israel's incursion into Syrian territory, claiming it was an act of hostility. But when all this was going on with northern Syria, Turkey, by the way, our friend Brad Johnson was on top of this Monday night. If you didn't hear the interview Monday night, I encourage you to. He was ahead of the game, and just as sure as he told us that they'd be out there taking credit for it, the media started talking about it Tuesday. We were talking about it Monday night, that Turkey was behind it. The best part is that the wider Muslim community would be okay with Turkey's annexation of Syria, but would hate if Israel creates a buffer zone to make life safe for its citizens from drone and rocket attacks. You better believe it. And that is irony. It's not the best part. It's the ironically part that Syria or Turkey can divide Syria up. I think it was Carol Smith asked me that question one morning in the Bible study. And Carol, that's proof right there. That's probably what they're trying to do. They're trying to divide it up. And interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. And folks, please don't be chit-chatting while I'm talking to each other. If you got something to say, McFilesForum@gmail.com. I don't mean to be ugly, but that's rude. That's rude. I'm doing the talking. I give you a chance to talk at the end. Please don't. This is not your personal chat room. Yolanda says Nancy Pelosi did 2 impeachments in one term to Republican 0. She had more mental fortitude, and she has had none. Hey, Yolanda, you're the lady of the year, because I'm going to tell you something right now. You made the comment, and I'm with you. They've impeached him twice. One lady did it. And you cannot tell me that the Republican males cannot do this crap. And I don't care. They got 40 days. They can take a vote tomorrow. Joe Biden has done nothing but tear this country. Him and Kamala's out there joking about everything tonight. She's more worried about what you're bringing to Christmas dinner. Tim Waltz, Tampon Tim, is putting up toilet paper stars on his Christmas tree in Minnesota. Joe Biden pardoning 1,500 felons. They don't care. We've let him get away with it. Yolanda, I salute you, my friend. I salute you. Comment of the decade, what you've been saying the last couple of nights. And I appreciate you. Elaine says, who paid for this wall to be moved and auctioned off? What organization? It's called the U.S. government, Elaine. It's called the U.S. government. They did it. That's who is auctioning this off. The U.S. government's doing it. The Biden administration. That website, Dan Patrick was on Laura Ingraham tonight. He's fuming mad, and I'm glad somebody down in Texas has got some kahunas. He's mad. And he said point blank tonight what I'm saying tonight. Joe Biden's a pathetic disgrace, folks. But he's not just a pathetic disgrace. He is literally trying to run. It's like an airline pilot with a plane trying to crash a plane and doesn't care who's on that plane, the innocent people that's on that plane, just to spite the airport. And that's what he's doing to this country. He's trying to spite Trump. He is trying to spite anything that Trump's going to do. And I'm with Yolanda. Impeach him. Impeach him. You got time. It took, what, a week? It was in between the election and when Trump left office when they impeached him the second time. He wasn't even out of office when they impeached him. If they can do that, and Nancy the blank Pelosi can do that to Trump twice, why in the living blank cannot the Republicans do it to somebody that has really done things to be impeached for? It burns me to the core. 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 All right. Now, Lucy, you say when all the truth comes out, Biden's presidency will be null and void. No, it won't. Won't. I disagree. The media is already covering for him tonight. That's what's infuriating me to the core. That's why Yolanda's situation, her comment is why it's got to be done. Joe Biden's going to walk away from this unscathed until somebody does something about it. And I'm not asking for anything other than the legal processes available to the courts and to Congress and to the check and balance power of the U.S. government tonight, folks, on the executive branch by the legislative branch. That's why we have what we call separation of powers. So, I'm with you. If you got a question, I'm going to turn it over to you. We had finally somebody disagree. 98.2 out of 102, 2% says no criminal charges should not be pushed and filed against those that push the J6 lies. Cedric, you're asking, is Biden recruiting an army with his 1,500 pardons? I don't know if it's an army, buddy. It's something. I'm sure that'll be coming out tomorrow, who they were. I would like to see that list. Nobody's really seen the list yet. It's out there, but I had more fish to fry tonight about this J6 thing. I'm going to deal with those pardons next week. We got the judge coming back here before the end of the year, hopefully. Judge Sherilyn Allen. I got a dear friend down in Atlanta, a new guy, new attorney. He's going to be our go-to legal guy. We've got some other people that are coming. Tony Branco, I was hoping Tony would jump on tonight, but he had a previous engagement. We had a lot of people that we asked to come on tonight, talk. But that's all right. I think I've handled the water pretty good tonight. What you say? Have you enjoyed the show? Put some fire in that house. We're not done with you. We're not done with you. If you got a question or comment, it's your show now. We're going to give you a chance to speak up. Speak up, speak out. And Elaine says, I want my money back as a taxpayer. Good luck on that, Elaine. Good luck on that. Dennis Floyd says Bill is worried about himself because if Hillary goes down, she will take Bill with her. Dennis, I could not agree more about that one, buddy. That's it. Bill ain't cared about Hillary. Truth be told, Bill secretly would hope they would take Hillary away. Bill would be left alone. So he probably, these British people, they know how to make comedies. But I should find that comedy short. I really should. But there was this British skit, and they were in a bank, and this man and this woman was in a bank, and this woman was just berating this man, telling him, you suck, you have no ambition, you have no drive, my mother warned me not to marry you, you're a loser, you are nothing but this, and yada, 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 yada. And about 5 minutes later, these bank robbers jump in and say, everybody freeze. And they point the gun to the lady, and they said, if anybody moves, the broad gets it. And the husband, starts moving. If Bill Clinton tells the truth, he really don't want Hillary to get a pardon, Dennis. I think you're right. I think you're right. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know you're right. I think Leslie Millway would probably say that too. Grammy says, shouldn't Bill be asking for a pardon for himself, especially since the Epstein list? You know, that's another thing, Grammy. We didn't even talk about the Epstein list. And by the way, tonight, folks, I don't know if you heard about Diddy. There's been a new lawsuit filed. We got another 10 minutes. We're not going to be much longer. You got your questions, folks. Time to ask them. I'm giving you your chance now. It's amazing nobody wants to talk when I give you the chance. Talk. Put your statements in there. Put your comments. Put your questions. We'll take them right now. Grammy, your point is well taken because that Epstein list is coming out. I think that's another thing Kash Patel has promised transparency on. President Trump has promised to release the JFK tapes, the files. He's promised to release the Epstein list, the COVID files. If I was Anthony Fauci, I'd be a little nervous tonight. Folks, they weaponized a virus against us. They weaponized a virus. Your kids have suffered. My kids have suffered. I got a son right now. He's going to online school. It's a miracle the kid's even taken an online class. What they did to him. He graduated in the year of COVID. His graduation didn't take place till July, late July. They postponed his graduation for 2 months from high school. He gets to UT. They literally quarantined him in that dorm room for a year. He would tell me that if he went outside, even to just get a Coke from a vending machine, they had people waiting at his dorm room, and if he did not have his mask, he was not allowed to go outside. And when he came back in, you were not to roam the halls at night. It was like a prison dorm. It so warped him, he did not go back to school for 2 years. That's what they did to our kids in high school. That's what they did to our kindergartners. That's what they did to the 5th graders over a lie. Those masks didn't protect you from COVID. Distancing didn't protect you from COVID. It was a virus, folks. It was a freaking virus. And I know Dr. Stephen Smith has been on, and he believes it wasn't even that, and I'm not going to argue that point. I believe there was something in the air. I'm not going to say I agree totally with that, but I get his point. We've had viruses in the past. We've had COVID viruses in past history. They've never been weaponized. That's what made this one so different. Grammy, your point is well taken, but let me go back to Diddy. Diddy has been charged tonight with 3 more rapes of men. And there's rumblings that Jennifer Lopez was present at some of this stuff, and Jay-Z. And I got a feeling they're a little bit more worried about the Diddy files than even they are the Epstein files. It's about to get interesting. It's about to get interesting in America.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary. Laura, what's going on with the drones? Thank you. I meant to say something about that. I'm grateful you said that. I almost forgot about that. We're going to talk about the drones tomorrow night. Come on. But I want to say something about them tonight. Tonight, did y'all hear John Kirby today? And the bullshit that was coming out of his mouth about the drones? Because he was asked about them for the first time. The government's take is there's nothing to worry about. Phil Murphy, the dumb blank governor of New Jersey, says there's nothing for the New Jersey residents to be worried about. And he's saying that the number of sightings of drones is way overstated, that it's overreaction. The media tonight is saying it's overreaction. There's a report out tonight, and we will post it in our Telegram room, that Iran, of all places, may be behind the drones. I've got my question for tomorrow night already lined up. We're going to ask you, do you think the drones are a threat to national security? Because the government's telling us tonight they're not. That's like the government telling me that it's raining while it's peeing on my shoe. I don't trust a thing this government tells me. I don't trust a thing if they told me that if they told me the sky was blue and water was wet, I wouldn't believe it. So when they tell you there's not a threat to national security, you folks in New Jersey, I'd be watching carefully about these drones. Because what I'm hearing is a foreign power is behind them. Now, it's conjecture. The report I read was strictly a person that had certain things they saw. We're trying to get a guy, I saw him on Laura's program tonight. I'm going to try to reach out to him, see if he'll come on the McFiles. But he basically said tonight, this is a dangerous thing no matter what. Let me tell you how messed up our country is tonight. Or do you realize that if a citizen of New Jersey or New York, because it's not just New Jersey, it's Staten Island too, which is just over the border there in New Jersey. If you shoot one of those drones down, you're going to go to jail as a citizen. Interesting. Interesting. But you're right. Let's see here. Jason, yep, the Mac man and me, you both, we were in D.C., brother, on J6. We were freezing to death, wasn't we? Let's see here. Laura, we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you updated on the drones. We'll keep you updated on the drones, my friend. Good question, and I'm glad you asked. I almost forgot about those drones. There's a story in Gateway Pundit that we'll be posting in Breitbart about them. And I tend to believe something's going on with them. I do. I don't know if it's a foreign power, And there is a possibility, and I'll just play devil's advocate, it could be some kid that is smoking weed or dope or whatever and just got a little crazy with drones and having a good old time. But there are more than one drone. It's all over several cities, so I don't think it's just one. It could be several. But we're going to follow that story and get to the bottom of it. Who was asking the question? I think it was Grammy again. Do you think Trump will run the country from Mar-a-Lago? Not a chance. Not a chance. No. Why? Why would he? Why would he? No, take this fight to D.C. Don't be a coward and run it from Mar-a-Lago. No. I would. Let me tell you something. The deep state, they're dangerous tonight, but they're bullies. And the way you deal with a bully is you hit back. And if he does that, Grammy, they win. We don't run countries from Florida. We don't run countries from Texas. We run it from our power and seat of government in D.C. Now, would I get Dan Bongino as my Secret Service head so nobody takes a shot at me? Yeah. Because I'm very concerned for his safety tonight. I really am. Tracy Clark says a local news station said that a Kids for Cash judge has been pardoned. Tracy, I wouldn't doubt that, my friend. I just wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. Jennifer, yes, they have been seen in New York as well. They have been seen in New York. Cedric, no, you cannot shoot them down even if they're over your property. It's a felony. They will arrest you for destroying. They will arrest you according to this guy tonight who's an expert in this area. There's laws against it. You can't do it. Ain't that crazy? That's how messed up this nation is. Your point's well taken, Cedric. Flying over my house, and I was worried about it, you know. But that's just the way things are. Let's see here. Kiwi says, I'm in New Jersey, and we watch them every night. They are the size of cars. It is our government because they're flying around Philadelphia International Airport. Kiwi, I don't doubt that. Send me an email, Kiwi McFiles Forum. I'd like to talk to you about that. We may get you on the show to talk about it. We've been wanting to talk to some folks from up in that area in Philadelphia, and I may just call on you. It's interesting. It's around the airport. Grammy, do I think it's something bigger? Who knows? Who knows right now? Who knows? Who knows? But anyway. Carol Smith, why didn't Biden replace Ray, a Trump appointee? Carol, that's a softball toss. Ray was more, he was doing more damage to Trump than anything Biden could have brought in. I mean, why change? Usually, and one other thing about that, Carol, it may not even be that too. Most FBI directors, when they're appointed, they have a 10-year term. And Trump was the one that named Ray. He wasn't an appointee. He was the one that Trump, well, I guess he was, but he's the one that replaced Comey when Trump fired him. But he saw the handwriting on the wall. But I think he resigned yesterday because he knew tonight all, you know what, was coming down the toilet with this J6 report. But it's a good question. I think Biden saw that Ray was doing his bidding of the Merrick Garland Justice Department, so why replace him? But that's why. Anyway. Travis, he says, do you think these drones will come into play during the inauguration? Who knows, Travis? Who knows? Who knows about that? Let me come over to our Facebook folks and talk to them a little bit. They've been very patient with me tonight. And look at who's in the house tonight. Miss Chris Aquila. It's good to see my sister back tonight. It is so good to see you. I was thinking about you today, my friend, praying for you, as always. Elaine Willard says they also told us that the Chinese weather balloons weren't either. That's very true, Elaine. Chris Aquila says the CDC has officially labeled COVID as the flu. That's convenient. It's on their website. Well, you know, it's funny, Chris, the thing about that is that the flu went away for 3 years because during the years of COVID, the CDC had the lowest number of flu cases reported in its history. So it's ironic tonight that all of a sudden it's gone back to the flu, which ultimately is what Dr. Smith told us it was. He said it's basically just flu on steroids. So I need to get old Dr. Smith back. We hadn't had him in a while. See if he'll come back on. That'd be an interesting discussion. But it's a good point, my friend. Good to see you tonight. You know we love you. Talk to you soon. True dat. True dat. Exactly right. And Elaine, your point about the Chinese balloon is right. They told us that wasn't a threat to security, and they were getting all sorts of information. Let's see here. Dennis said perhaps Musk could buy all these extra wall parts, and let me see this. She said, and on January the 20th, give it all back. That's a good suggestion. Such a good suggestion. Such a good suggestion. Anyway, you know, Jenny Castellanova, you're absolutely right. Class action lawsuits against these dirtbags, and I think somebody mentioned that yesterday or day before on one of these news networks. They said that that is really the way that a lot of these people are going to have to go, is with class action lawsuits. And it may have been James Akers that mentioned it Tuesday night, or Brad, because that's, I think somebody needs to be slapped down. I totally agree. Now, we're right at 10:37 in the East, 9:37. I'm going to give you 8 more minutes. I'm going to go to 9:45 Central, 10:45, and then I'm gone. So if you got any more other questions, speak now, forever hold your peace for tonight. Roger Hooker, have you finished your Christmas shopping? Chris, they are having a drone sale in New Jersey. That's funny, Roger. I don't think I'm in the market for any drones. And I'm not in the market for used wall parts along the American border. That's very good, Roger. That's a good one. You made me laugh on that one. Elaine Crossroads, I'm in New Orleans, and about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I was out on my balcony and heard something, looked up, and a drone was flying over her head, flying really low. It continues down the highway. It was huge. Interesting, Elaine, we've not heard about the New Orleans drones. I'm sure that may come out. Elaine, I would, did you take a picture of it? If you did, send it to me. We'll report it. But that's interesting that you saw one in New Orleans. But yeah, there's something going on, folks, in New Jersey and New York tonight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I'm very, you know, look, and Elaine Willard's point is well taken. That Chinese balloon, folks, did some damage. They let this thing fly 3/4 of the way over the country before they even shot the thing down. And for God's sake, they could have figured out who killed the Lindbergh baby by the time they shot it down. Did y'all hear about Trump inviting Yi to the inauguration? Wouldn't that be a peach? As Doc Holliday would say, wouldn't that be a peach? Isn't that just peachy? If he showed up. I'd like to see that one. Anyway. Deborah, you're saying you hope the drones are not spraying stuff in the air. Well, Deborah, it's a little bit too late to worry about that. They've been letting them fly for a week. But to our knowledge, nothing's been sprayed out of him. I think it possibly, guys, could be a kid. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I tend to, this is one of those wait and see things. We tried to get, you know, we asked James about this and Brad, and I don't think even, you know, they're former CIA people, and they don't even know really where these things are coming from. They're looking into it. If they hear something, they're going to let me know, and so forth. We were supposed to have Eric Caron on tonight, but he had a previous engagement. We're supposed to have a lot of folks on tonight, but they just couldn't be with us, and it's okay. But we're going to get them back on next week. We've got a great lineup coming. Now, I'll be back here tomorrow night. Magdalene Rose may be with me tomorrow night. We hadn't had Magdalene on. We got an interview I keep wanting to play. It's just 30 minutes long. It's from Anthony Cavalucci, my dear friend from the National Weather Service office here in Morristown. Talks about Hurricane Helene and the weather. And I'd like to get him to talk about this with us soon. And if not tomorrow night, next week, we'll figure it out. Listen, I appreciate you all being with me tonight. Did you get something out of the show? Did you enjoy the show tonight? Did I do okay by myself? Did I do okay by myself? Final tally, 124 votes. 98% of you said yes, there should be criminal charges against those who pushed the J6 lies in the media and D.C. I'm going to end that poll and so forth. Cindy, has Elon made a comment about the drones? Not that I know of yet, but I'm sure he will chime in on the drones. Folks, we're going to follow these stories. We're going to follow this J6 report, the drone story, the border story. There's a lot of other stories out there we ain't even touched the surface on tonight. I'd need 6 hours if I was going to touch everything. But we got one final week before Christmas, and we're going to hit you hard as can be next week. So if you love the McFiles, you'll be grateful. If you are not so fond of the McFiles, you might want to sit next week out a little bit, because we're gonna be rocking and rolling. We're gonna be rocking and rolling.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Doggone it, I look good in that bowler hat. I need to get me one of them.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Oh, my goodness. Thank you all for being with me tonight. I will see you back here Sunday on our midweek or our Sunday morning Faith show on the Faith side if we're not here tomorrow night. I'm not sure what we'll do tomorrow night. It's Friday night. It's Christmas time. I'm going to take Roger Hooker's advice and I'm going to go Christmas shopping. But I'm not looking for drones, Roger. I can tell you that, buddy. Good questions tonight. Thank you all for being with me. May the Lord bless you. If you got something out of the show, put some fire in that house. We are super, super, super grateful that you're here with us tonight. Have a blessed evening, and we'll see you back here maybe tomorrow, but definitely next week on the news side. Good night.